476 AD, Ravenna. A boy sits on a throne that means nothing. His name is Romulus Augustulus, the last emperor of the Western Roman Empire. He is a teenager. His father holds the real power. And outside the palace walls, a Germanic general named Odoacer is marching with an army that no one can stop. In a few hours, it will all be over. 800 years of Roman power, gone. But here is what history never told you. Rome didn't have to fall. There was a man who almost saved it. A man who understood exactly what needed to be done, and was murdered for it. His name was Majorian, and this is the story of the decision that doomed an empire. First, let's be honest about something. Rome did not fall in a single day. It did not collapse because of one bad emperor or one lost battle. By 476, the Western Empire had been dying for decades, slowly, painfully, from the inside out. The emperors had no real power. The army was held together by Germanic mercenaries whose loyalty could be bought and sold. The tax base had collapsed as province after province fell to invaders. And North Africa, the empire's breadbasket, its financial engine, the source of grain and naval power that kept the whole system alive, was gone, lost to the Vandals in 429. Without Africa, Rome could not pay its soldiers. Without soldiers, Rome could not hold its borders. Without borders, Rome could not collect taxes. It was a death spiral, and by 476, it had been spinning for 50 years. So when we ask, what if Rome never fell? We are not asking about saving a healthy empire. We are asking about saving a patient who is already on the floor. That patient needed one thing, a doctor who actually knew what was wrong. Majorian became emperor in 457, and from the moment he took power, he understood the problem with a clarity that almost no Western emperor before him had shown. He was not interested in ceremony. He was not interested in titles or parades or the performance of Roman greatness. He was interested in making the Western state actually function again. He reformed the tax system, not just on paper, but in practice. He issued laws against corrupt tax collectors. He stabilized the coinage. He pushed measures that strengthened local defense. He restored Roman authority in Gaul and Hispania, territories that had been slipping away for decades. And then he turned his eyes south, toward the sea, toward Africa. Because Majorian understood something that his predecessors had refused to accept. Without North Africa, the Western Empire was already dead. It was just still breathing. So he built a fleet, 300 ships, assembled in Hispania, prepared for the greatest military operation the West had attempted in a generation. The plan was straightforward and devastating. Cross to Africa, destroy the Vandal kingdom, retake the province that Rome could not survive without. He came closer than anyone realized. And then Ricimer had him killed. Ricimer. If Majorian was the man who almost saved Rome, Ricimer was the man who made sure it couldn't be saved. He was a Germanic general of extraordinary ability, half Visigoth, half Suevian, connected to the royal houses of two barbarian kingdoms. He could not become emperor himself. Roman law and Roman prejudice barred him from the throne because of his ancestry. So instead, he did something more dangerous. He controlled emperors. For nearly 2 decades, Ricimer was the real power in the Western Empire. He installed emperors. He removed them. He killed them when they became inconvenient. The Western throne, under Ricimer, was not a seat of power. It was a tool. Majorian threatened everything Ricimer had built. A strong emperor with a loyal army and a functioning tax system had no need of a kingmaker. A Western court rebuilt around Majorian's reforms would have reduced Ricimer to what he actually was, a general, not a ruler. and Majorian's campaigns were already making him popular with the army in a way that made Ricimer nervous. So Ricimer moved. He turned the Senate against Majorian. He turned sections of the army. He had Majorian arrested near Tortona in 461, tortured and executed. In one decision, Ricimer chose a controllable, weak West over a reforming emperor who might have rebuilt real imperial authority. It was the decision that doomed Rome. So what happens if Ricimer fails? What if Majorian survives, retakes Africa, and the Western court stabilizes around a strong emperor who actually governs? The fleet crosses to Africa. The Vandal kingdom, already weakened by internal tensions, cannot resist a coordinated Roman assault. North Africa falls back into imperial hands. The tax revenues flow again. The army is paid, rebuilt, reorganized around the disciplined Roman core that Majorian had already begun to reconstruct. The death spiral stops. But let's be precise about what this means and what it doesn't. A surviving Western Empire is not a return to Augustus. It is not legions marching from Britain to Mesopotamia. The demographic pressures are still real. The Germanic tribes are still pushing against the borders. Europe has changed in ways that cannot simply be undone by one successful campaign. What Majorian's survival creates is something different, something smaller, harder, more pragmatic. A Western Roman state centered on Italy, southern Gaul, and a recovered North Africa. A state that integrates Germanic elites rather than fighting them. Because that is already the direction Rome was moving, and a smart emperor builds with the reality he has, not the one he wishes for. And here is where the alternate history becomes truly staggering. In the 6th century, the Eastern Emperor Justinian launched a massive and enormously costly campaign to reconquer the former Western territories: Italy, North Africa, parts of Spain. He succeeded temporarily, but the campaigns devastated Italy, nearly bankrupted Constantinople, and ultimately failed to hold. The Western Empire he tried to restore was already a ghost. A surviving West changes this completely. Justinian has no Western vacuum to fill. Instead of a weakened Constantinople pouring resources into reconquest, you have two Roman empires, East and West, competing, cooperating, and watching each other with deep suspicion. Two courts both claiming to be the true heir of Rome. Two emperors, two armies, two versions of what Roman civilization means. And then, in the 7th century, Islam arrives. Historically, the Arab conquests swept across a Byzantine empire already exhausted by decades of war with Persia, and then across a North Africa with no Roman power left to resist them. Spain fell. The southern Mediterranean became Islamic within a generation. A surviving Western empire, still holding North Africa, still maintaining a fleet, changes this equation. It does not stop Islam. The 7th century Arab expansion was one of the most extraordinary military phenomena in human history, and no single power could simply absorb it. But it slows it. It contests it. The Western Mediterranean becomes a frontier rather than a conquest. A long, grinding struggle between Roman Christian and Islamic power, rather than a rapid collapse. The Europe we know, medieval kingdoms, the political power of the Catholic Church, the map of nations that eventually produced the Renaissance and the modern world, is built entirely on the ruins of Rome. Change the ruins, and you change everything built on top of them. No Charlemagne, no Holy Roman Empire, no medieval papacy as we know it. The entire political architecture of the Western world, reshaped by one general's decision to kill one reforming emperor in 461 AD. Majorian understood what Rome needed. He had the ability, the will, and the plan to save it. Ricimer understood only one thing: that a strong Rome had no place for men like him. One decision, and 15 centuries of history followed from it.